Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Samantha Russell speaking from 20 over 10. Thank you so much for joining. We are just going to wait a few minutes to see who all can sign on. So we'll give it a couple minutes since we are just 1 minute after the hour. I want to thank Scott from your Efolio for having me here today. And I'm going to be sharing my screen. So let me do that so that we can all see it. If you would just let me know if you can hear me okay and see everything okay, that will also help to make sure we are all on the same page. So let's get that going here. All right, awesome. Okay. So Scott, do you want to say anything? I don't know if they're able to hear you.
I can turn the camera in. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and appreciate your time. And I believe you'll get some very, very good information from my friend Samantha here. And again, we appreciate you jumping on today.
Yeah. So again, this is Samantha Russell from 20 over 10. So those of you probably aren't familiar, 20 over 10 is a website development platform where we help business owners create their website, manage them, host them. And really we're all about designing websites that are incredibly professional, of course, but that capture leads. So get more traffic and then capture leads. So small little tweaks that you can make to generate more traffic, win at local search, and get more people to connect with you once they land on your site are what I'm really interested in showing you all today. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. If you need to leave early or anything for any reason, no big deal. The webinar will be recorded and we'll send it out to everyone after the webinar is over. And I really want this to be interactive and useful for all of you. So if you have a question, there's two ways you can ask me. In the comments, there's a chat section on the control panel that you can use to ask away any questions that you have. And if they're pertinent to the topic at hand, I'll go ahead and ask or answer them at that time. There's also a Q&A box that is private to just me. So none of the other folks on the presentation today will be able to see those questions as they come in. So if you want your question to be just for me, you can put it there. One other thing, we are going to be talking all about websites and getting more traffic and leads through that website. So if you have a website URL you want to share that you want me to pull up and review at the end of the call, feel free to go ahead and put it in now into a Q&A chat to me, and then I can pull it up at the end. If you want it to be private, go ahead and say that, and I will email you the review rather than doing it live here on the air. So we'll get through as many of them as we can. So what we're going to discuss today is a few things. Number one, what the 5-second test is and how to know whether or not your website passes it. So this is a really crucial tool in marketing that helps us determine whether our site is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I'm going to talk to you about that and how to tell if your site passes. We're going to talk about search engine optimization, better known as SEO. Going to talk about how to unlock the keywords that your site is ranking for and see how it's performing. And then how, this is really crucial for most business owners, when someone is doing a search locally, for a estate planning attorney, how do you come up in the top of the results? We're going to talk about what you need to do to make that happen. And then finally, we're going to talk about some tools such as live chat that you can add to your website to convert a way higher percentage of those leads. So just a little bit of background about myself. I'm the Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer at 20 over 10. Again, we are a website development company. We got started specifically in the financial services industry. So a huge portion of our business has been financial advisors, wealth managers, investment managers. We recently started working with a lot more real estate agents, attorneys, and insurance reps as well. So excited to be talking with all of you, and thanks to your Efolio for having us. All right, so let's jump right in. The first question that we want to address is, does your website pass the 5-second test? So again, this is a really important thing that every website owner, if you haven't done it already, you absolutely should do. And it's pretty simple. So I'm going to tell you what you do. You go to a coffee shop, somewhere that's neutral, a local public place, Panera, somewhere where people might be working on their computers. You find a complete stranger. You walk up to them and say, can I just have, 60 seconds of your time? That's all it's going to take. Then you tell them that they have 5 seconds. You pull up your website, and after 5 seconds of them looking at it, close your laptop and say, okay, I have a couple questions for you. What does that company do? What service do they provide? That's the very first question. The second question is, who do they provide it to? And the third question is, where are they located? If the person who is reviewing your website cannot answer those three things, you are missing the mark. Those three things are hyper important to being able to get qualified leads through your website. And the last part about where they're located is only relevant if it's important to you to get local leads, but for most attorneys, that is the case, right? So you want to be able to work with people locally in your area and rank high locally. So what this allows us to do is pull up a website, and because the person is completely objective, right? We don't know them, they don't know us, they're not a family member, they're not a friend who's worried about hurting your feelings. They're going to give you advice. They have no idea if this is your website. You haven't said that to them. So you really want to make it very, very easy for them to give you a true, honest feedback, right? So I'm just going to pull up a website here to show you what I mean. So here's a quick website. We look at it. Our eyes are immediately going to see the picture in the background first because the brain processes imagery 60,000 times faster than text. That's huge, right? So we're going to notice it's sort of like a picture of something a physician is looking at, of a scan. And then the type says, you're a doctor forever, but that shouldn't mean you have to work that long. So it's immediately telling us that this firm does something with physicians, with doctors, right? If we look at the upper left-hand side, it says RX Wealth Advisors. And then if we read the copy a little bit more, working harder is no longer the answer to building personal wealth. Becomes very clear that this company helps doctors to manage their finances. And then it says change your strategy. So all of the copy, the imagery, everything ties together, allows the visitor to the site to quickly make the assumption about what this company does. What I find a lot of people do is they make assumptions of what the person visiting their site already knows. And we don't want to make any assumptions because people really do use Google to find services. And if you think that they are not, you are sorely mistaken. I think it's really funny. A lot of times people will say, well, nobody's just finding me online. They're being referred by a friend first. That's absolutely not the case. Every day, people are going online and just doing a Google search for the services that they want to find. So your site needs to be able to, A, rank really high when they do those searches, and then B, when they land on the site, it needs to entice them to want to spend more than 5 seconds because that's how long that you have to make that impression with them, right? So here's the things you need to know whether your site is passing the 5-second test. Number one, does your website allow visitors to qualify themselves? If you're not very explicit about who you work with, the types of people that you serve, you're really missing a crucial component. So if you just say that you are an attorney, but you don't explain the types of people that you work with, and stop thinking about the services you provide, start thinking about the end person you provide those services to and how you can think of them as a niche audience. Because everybody who's visiting your site is thinking about themselves, right? They're not thinking about you and your services. They're thinking about themselves and their needs. So we always want to be problem solution based. What is the problem that the visitor has and what solution do you provide? You want to easily show that your firm works with people just like them so that they feel really confident when they pick up the phone to book a meeting with you. They already feel confident that you're someone who can help people just like them. And again, the 4 keys, who you are, what you do, who you serve, and where you are located need to be explicitly laid out right there on the homepage. The last thing that I see a lot of sites missing is a really strong call to action somewhere on that main homepage, right? So you shouldn't have to scroll down or click to another link in order to get some sort of call to action. And a call to action would be schedule a time to meet with us, chat with our team, submit an inquiry, whatever the wording that you're going to use. Ideally, the call to action should match the rest of the copy that's already on your page. So in this one, because they're talking about, that doesn't mean you should have to work that long. Change your strategy is the call to action here. You might have a calendar scheduler widget that pops up that says, book a time to chat with me. You know, whatever the case may be, it should be right there on the homepage above the fold for a very strong homepage. So once you go back, you analyze your site, you see if it passes the 5-second test, most likely you're going to have some homework to do, right? You're going to have some changes that you want to make. While you're making those changes to the writing, potentially to the images that you're using, one of the most important things you want to think about is how those changes will also affect your SEO, your search engine optimization. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is how SEO can be broken down so that you can all understand it in a really easy to understand way. What are the main things we need to remember when we're setting up our website so that we do rank really high for search engines? So the first thing I want to introduce you to is what's called the SERP. So the SERP is the search engine result page. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this full screen here for a second so that I can get it nice and big for you. Okay, so on the right-hand side, we see an example of a search engine result page, right? So again, this is, if I was doing a search for any kind of local business. This could be a burger. It could be a financial advisor. It could be an attorney. It could be a handyman, whatever it is. This is what's going to look like. Google has gotten really good to know that when we're searching for services, we don't typically want an essay about the pros and cons of using a service or, you know, an article or a blog post. We want the closest service providers of that service near where we're located. So whether you're on a mobile phone or a desktop, you're going to see ads at the top of the page. And then this section here with a map and some highlighted results, which is called the Google Local Pack. So the local pack is actually people locally that meet that requirement. So even if I didn't actually have Orlando, Florida in the search bar up here, we would still get this, because Google understands when I'm searching for a financial advisor, I'm really looking for a service provider of that service near me. So this is the sweet spot that we all want our businesses to be in. And the reason is the number one organic result in here. So you can see Edward Jones, this is an ad. These two up top are ads, right? And then American Financial Advisors, Algen, these are all of the organic listings. The number one organic result at the top of the page is going to get 33% of all clicks. That's huge, huge. The top three, so these top three organic right here, are going to get 61% of all clicks. And less than 6% of people will advance to page 2. And surprisingly, for everything we hear about, you know, do paid ads on Google search, paid ads, paid listings get 10% or less of all clicks. When people are telling you to do paid advertising, what's really most successful, what they're talking about is retargeting or social media ads. Google search ads are really not where most people see the biggest bang for their buck. So, of course, your number one question for me is going to be, how do I get my business to be in this local pack if that's where I'm going to get the biggest bang for my buck, right? And we are going to talk about that in more detail in just a second, so stay tuned. I will give you the 3 things that you have to do in order to get your business listed there. But before we do that, I need to give you a little bit of background information. So there's 2 things that make up search engine results and how the search engine decides where to rank your business. They can be broken down, and they're about 50% of importance. So 50% of how high you rank and, you know, how your site is performing is based on the page factors, and 50% is based on off the page factors. The on the page factors is what is your site all about, the content on your page, where your keywords are, how your site has been built and structured. Is it mobile responsive? All that good stuff. The off the page factors really just break down to backlinks. How many people are linking back to your website? So anytime, you know, if you write a column for a local newspaper and that newspaper links back to your website, that's a backlink. If you post to social media and somebody else reshares that post from their, you know, social page, that's a backlink. So that's why social media has been so huge for businesses and why all companies are encouraged to have social media profiles. A big component of it really is SEO. So that is telling the search engine what we call authority. How authoritative is your site on this topic, right? So if you are a estate planning attorney and you have a bunch of other websites that offer some sort of estate planning, maybe there's an association you belong to, maybe you've done a blog post that got picked up by other estate planning attorneys as a great article to share, it's showing Google that you are an authority on this topic, right? If your blog post or maybe a quote was featured in the New York Times in an article about estate planning, all of a sudden you'll see a huge increase in your SEO because Google will say, well, the New York Times is an even higher authority than just the local newspaper. So the actual authority of other sites will also impact how your site is ranking, where you're getting those links from. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind as we go through the how-tos and the best practices. I will talk about these off-the-page techniques second, but first I want to talk more about the on-the-page techniques, because if we're really thinking about what is something all of you can walk away from today and change, this is the low-hanging fruit. These are the things you can do today that will make a difference immediately. These off-the-page techniques, you definitely have control over and you can work to fix and to improve, but it's going to take time. It's not something you can change immediately because it takes time to build up links. So we'll start with the low-hanging fruit to make it easy for all of you. Again, I know some of this is very technical and you may not all have a ton of background on it. So if you have questions as I'm talking, just even like what does something mean, please feel free to pop it into the chat or the Q&A. I'd be happy to answer any of that for you. So the first way to understand how do you write your content, because remember we talked about, if we go back to that slide, one of the biggest on-the-page techniques that will make a big difference for how your site is ranking is to have the keywords you want to rank for right there in your copy, right? So if you want to rank for estate planning attorney in Cleveland, Ohio, then those keywords and variations of those keywords need to be in key areas on your website. So what I'm going to do is walk you through where those should go and how they should be positioned. But you may need to just start by understanding before you write that copy, well, how do I know what keywords my site's already doing well for? And how do I know which keywords are associated with it that people are searching for that maybe I haven't thought of? Maybe they're not searching for estate planning attorney. Maybe they're searching for who can help me set up my estate, right? It's a different type of a search. It's a phrase or a question, and you want those phrases and those questions to also be part of your website content strategy. So in order to unlock these keywords and figure out how your site's already doing, I'm going to introduce you to a tool that is going to change your life. It's called Google Search Console. And if you're not already using it, it's absolutely free. It's part of the suite of tools that Google provides along with Google Analytics, Google My Business is like a setup you can have, and then Google Search Console is one of those. These are all under the umbrella of Google's Webmaster Tools. So I'm going to go back to exiting out of that screen and actually pull up a Google Search Console to walk you through what this would look like. So within Google Search Console, you would have your website. So here I have the 20/10, our company's blog, pulled up. You verify your listing. There's a couple things you need to do to get it verified. You'll have to get a little widget and have your web developer put it in your website. But once it's set up and it's tracking, you don't ever have to worry about that again. And it's good to go. So what you'll see is every keyword search or query, as it's called, that someone has went to Google and they've done a search for this, and your website is coming up. And this data is so valuable because it's going to show us a few things. The first thing is this impression. So impressions is how many times when someone did a search for a term, so how many times when someone searched Public Relations 101, did 20/10 come up in the search engine result page, right? So not how many times was it searched by everybody, but how many times did our blog come up in the results? So when this search was conducted 477 times in the last 3 months, our blog came up. And out of those times, we were clicked on in the results 199 times, meaning our click-through rate was 41%. My favorite part is they show you where your site was positioned. So if we go back to that very first slide, right, and we think about all of the different places that you can be positioned, when we see that our site was performing 1.4, we were the very first or second organic listing. And so you can see in that case, we got 41% of the clicks. We're able to go through and we can look at the ones that are getting the highest percentage of searches. So a term like CRM for financial advisors, but maybe we're not getting a lot of clicks. And we might wonder, well, why is that? What can we do to change it, right? So what I like to do is look at what are we already performing really well for? So where are we in the top position, in the first, second, third position, right? For those, we know we're doing well. We probably don't need to do much to change our position. We don't need to add a lot of copy to change it up. We're doing well. We just want to keep an eye on it to make sure our rankings aren't slipping. For those areas where we're in position number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about the 4 to 8 range, those are the ones that if I put just a little bit of effort into, I could probably very quickly get boosted up into the first or second ranking. So positions 4 through 8 are the low-hanging fruit that if you do just a little bit of work, you can boost your rankings. And when I say do a little bit of work, I mean, let's say you're ranking number 5 for something. You don't need to go and add a whole new page to your website about that search term, but adding maybe a couple blog posts over the next few weeks that include that keyword or that search term in it, all of a sudden you can start seeing your site ranking higher for those terms. So this tool is just so fabulous for helping you unlock the keywords that your site is ranking for, isn't ranking for, and then again, how much activity there is around that keyword in general. So maybe you're ranking number 1 for something, but only 5 people are searching for it a month. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? You want to be ranking high for the high volume searches as well. So this is the first thing you want to do: set up the Google Search Console, go through your results, and figure out where the keywords that you can do better. Which ones can you optimize your website for to start ranking even higher? Once you do that, so you've done the 5-second test, we've looked at the keywords that we're ranking high or not ranking high for, now we can actually go in and make some changes to see the quick fixes and get some results. So the number one thing you need to do is check to make sure your site is mobile friendly and has a security certificate on it. So a security certificate, when you go to a website and at the top it says HTTPS versus HTTP. So you can see here, right? HTTPS. This one, HTTPS. And there's a little lock icon. If you do not have an HTTPS, then when somebody's on your site, it will say this website is not secure right here in the upper left-hand corner. This doesn't look great for the client experience, but more importantly, it's a big factor when it comes to SEO now. Google came out last year and said if you don't have that security certificate on your site won't rank as high as those that do have it. So that's the first thing to notice. Of course, everybody knows that mobile is huge and everyone is on their phones all day long. So it goes without saying your site needs to be mobile responsive. I know in practice, not all websites have gotten up to speed. So that would be the other thing. If your site is not mobile responsive, you absolutely need to change that because, again, it is not only something that's good for the user experience, but Google will penalize you in mobile searches. So if someone's searching for an attorney on their phone, you won't even be in the list of results if they're just doing a generic search for an attorney if your site isn't mobile friendly. Okay, so here are some, when it comes to the content, you've unlocked those keywords. Here are some of the best practices when it comes to where to place them. You want to, for every time you're looking at keywords you want to rank high for, you want to have at least one keyword in the title. And it could be just one keyword or it could be a key phrase, right? So it might be what we call a long tail keyword, which would be a group of keywords strung together. That would be a phrase, a long tail keyword, whatever you want to call it, or it could just be one keyword on its own. And then you want to have 2 to 3 of those keywords or keyword phrases all through the paragraph text in the body. And then you want to also include the keywords for that same page on the back end of your website in the meta description, the title tag, and the alt tag. So I'm going to show you what I actually mean by all of those areas, because some of you may not be sure where you would actually go in your website to make those changes. So for title tags, what we're talking about is, if you remember when I was showing you again the list of the search engine result page, if you get a whole bunch of results, the title tag is what you actually click on from Google to go into someone's website. That's called the title tag. And the way that you structure your website's title tag can make actually a huge difference in how you rank for SEO, which is surprising to a lot of people because they didn't set this up. Their webmaster set it up and they didn't ask them what they wanted it to say, right? So if you do a search for your own company, go back and look and see, what does it say? For most of you, the name of your company, just like this one here, is going to be the first part of the title tag. And then it'll be some kind of summary about what you do, and then maybe where you're located. An interesting thing about Google and the search engine is that you actually want to put whatever is the most important keyword for your business in terms of what you want to rank for, that should be first. So if you're trying to rank higher for your local area, putting your local location first can actually really, really improve your SEO for that local keyword. If you want to, there's maybe a specific niche that you serve and you want more of that audience to find you, putting that keyword first can be the most important. So the formula we use is written down here in bold for you guys. Primary keyword, secondary keyword, and then the company name. Most people do the exact opposite. They put their company name first. And so Google then says, well, that's the most important thing about this website is what they're called, right? For most of you, the name of your company is not going to be the most important thing. It's going to be either where you're located or the type of service that you provide. These title tags are the second most important on-page ranking factor. So you remember I said with SEO, the ranking factors are on the page and off the page, with the off the page being backlinks. Out of everything on the page, your title tag is the second most important thing. The first most important thing is really just what your keywords are overall and how often they're used throughout your site, which most people get that. But just making this simple tweak can have huge implications. So again, we want to do primary keyword, then the secondary keyword, and then your company name. So right underneath what we actually click will always be the actual website URL. And then in gray is what's called the meta description. So the meta description is your chance to describe what your website is about to anyone that you want to click on it. So think of it as ad copy, because really that's what it is, right? It's compelling someone who's looking through the search engine result page to want to click into your website and not someone else's. So here's two more examples. And both of these examples are fine, but I wonder what all of you would say is the better one, right? So in the first one, we have Clarity Asset Management is a fee-only financial planning and asset management firm in Ames, Iowa. As a fiduciary team, we work together for your benefit, blah, blah, blah. The second one says, hi, I'm Kyle Moore, and I help busy and motivated professionals take their finances to the next level with ongoing guidance and accountability. What does everybody think the better one is? Number two is so much more personal. It's ad copy. The first one is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't compel you to want to click into it to read it, right? So the meta description is something you should all have access to changing on the back end of your website. If you don't, you can always contact your web developer to ask them to change it for you. You only have 120 to 150 characters here. And if you don't keep it that short, as you can see at the top, Google will just cut it off. So you want to make sure you keep it short and concise. But it is a summary about what that page is all about. And it's your chance to write something really compelling to get people to click into it. So thinking again as ad copy is the best way to be successful here. Okay, so we talked about, actually on the search engine result page, before someone ever clicks into your website, we want to make sure we're strategizing our page titles and our meta descriptions for local SEO. Second, when we go into the website, we want to think about what we call header tags. And this is the next most important place where you want to place your keywords. So we unlock the keywords from the Google Search Console. We're incorporating them throughout our website. The title tags and the meta descriptions are the most important places to put them. The next most important place to put them are the headline or the header tags. So if you're using a website and as you're making some edits, you'll notice there's some different styling options like bigger, bolder text, and it'll say H1, H2, or header. That is what they're talking about. It's not just a way to style the text. It actually communicates back to the search engine which keywords are the most important on your site, right? And it makes sense intuitively. If we look at this example, the big bolded blue text is going to be the first thing my eye catches. We don't read websites the way we read a book, where we read every page, start at the top left, scroll down, go left to right. We scan them. And the search engine knows this. Google knows this. So it summarizes that whatever keywords that we've put in these headers, in these big bolded parts of our website, are the keywords that must be the most important for that page. So let's say you have on your site serving the local community since 1960. That does nothing for your SEO. It doesn't say anything about your services. It doesn't say where you're located. You're missing a huge opportunity to put those keywords there. So instead, you could say something like serving the local Phoenix, Arizona community since 1960. Just that simple swap is telling Google where you're located, and that's an important component of your keyword strategy. So you can put your niche audience in here. You can put your services that you really want to focus on. Anything that you can think of that would be important for keyword searches would go in these header tags. You want to keep them between 55 and 65 characters long, so not very long. They shouldn't be spilling over down to a second line or anything like that. And they should be unique to every page. So if your firm offers, let's say 7 different areas of expertise, you don't want to summarize all 7 areas on every page. Each page should be unique to that particular area, and the keywords that you include should be unique for that page. Okay, this is a really simple one to check and makes, again, a huge difference with people finding you in terms of boosting your site for SEO. I challenge you to go look at your website and see how many pages on your website have no links to another page. We call that an orphan page. So no page is linking to it, and it's not linking to any other page. This is terrible for SEO because what we want the search engine to be able to do is crawl our website every day and create sort of a matrix of where pages are connected to each other. When we leave a page as an orphan page and no pages are linking to it and it's not linking to anything else, it makes it incredibly hard for users to find it. And then once they do land on it, they don't know where to go next, right? So if you're in your navigation bar and maybe you have a page that's our team, and when somebody lands on the our team page, they can read all of your team members' bios, but that's it. Like, it doesn't link out to anything else. No other pages of your website say get to know our team with a link to it. That's an orphan page. This is a very simple, quick fix that you can make to go back through your website and make sure that every page has one link going out and one link coming in. And this is a small change that, again, can make a huge difference with SEO because not a lot of people do it. They don't take the time to do it. This also becomes incredibly important when you're blogging. Every time you add a new blog post, you want to link back to one static page and one dynamic page. So a static page would be pages that don't change that often. Your home page, a service page, contact us, about us, our team. The dynamic pages would be other blog posts that are changing all the time. So, if you're writing a blog post, link back to one other blog post as well as one other static page. Again, this is a quick low-hanging fruit style change that can make a huge difference. So if you're wondering, these are all great tips, but my website platform doesn't allow me to do this easily, I just wanted to show you a quick glimpse of the 20/10 platform. Again, we work with folks just like you all the time who are having this moment, right? They want to be able to change these things, but they don't know how to do it. They don't have to pay somebody $1,000 every time they want to make quick changes. Our platform allows you to come in and right here, you can see, here's where we would change the meta description. We have some Latin holder text in this one. here where we see the headers above the paragraph text. So it's really easy with the 20/10 platform to just go into the editor and make these quick fix changes. If you're not sure, again, how to do this on your own, you can contact your web developer. But one of the benefits of using a tool like ours, like 20/10, is that as you're building your business, adding new pages, adding new blog posts, you don't have to contact a webmaster every time. You can go in and use the built-in tools to make sure your site stays at the top of rankings. Okay, I promised you in the beginning when we talked about how do you rank high in that Google local pack. It used to be called the local 3-pack, but they started sometimes having 4 or 5 results, so now we just call it the local pack. These are what you need to do. These 3 things down here. Number 1, set up and optimize, and I'll tell you what I mean by optimize, a Google My Business page for your business. Number 2, make sure that your NAP data, so your name, address, and phone number, is on every single page of your website and is accurate, so I'll explain what that means. And then 3 is to get reviews, Google reviews. So again, this is crucially important because this is going to get 66% of all clicks are going to come from this little grid right here. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you're wondering like how your site's already performing, if you're already in here, you can't just go search for your business and see how it performs because you've all been going to your websites all the time, right? And one of the biggest factors of how Google ranks websites is a person's own prior search history. So just by virtue of you having visited your website all the time in the past, you have a much either greater or less likely chance of coming up in the results, depending on if you've ever clicked on it. I've actually run into people who've searched their own website and not clicked on it so many times, where like maybe they have 40 people in their firm and they're all doing that. Every time your site is shown in the listing and it's not clicked on, it's telling Google, oh, that wasn't a good result. So Google makes a mental note of that, and then the next time you have a less likely chance of showing up. So you don't want to keep searching your company name or your business name or keywords and then not clicking on your website. That's a bad habit to get in. You want to use a third-party tool to kind of estimate where you are. If you don't want to pay for tools or do that, you can also go into like an incognito window on a friend's computer and do a search that way. So in order to get into these listings, these are the 3 things we want to do. So let's start with Google My Business. Google My Business, again, is completely free. You sign up with Google, you register your business, you claim it, and then you have to completely fill it out. So we've got an example here of one that's not completed properly versus one that is. You want to add a long, unique description that's formatted correctly and includes links back to your website. You want to make sure you're choosing the right category, so you can categorize your business with a couple different options that Google has. You want to upload as many photos as possible. This is a huge one that a lot of people don't do. Put pictures of your office building, the inside, the outside, your logo, your team, whatever you need to do. You can see on this one, they ran out of ideas. They got pictures of coffee mugs. You know, it doesn't matter. Google wants to see at least 6 photos there. So you want to make sure you have those photos there. The other thing is the name, address, and phone number that you use both on your website, your Google My Business profile page, and then anywhere else. So yellow pages, you know, whether it's a find an attorney, like lookup page, anywhere where it's a registry, a repository, Yelp, you want to have your name, your address, and your phone number of your business exactly the same always. So for instance, if on your website, you have Parkway spelled out, but on your Google My Business, you have Parkway PKWY. Google has a hard time realizing those are the 2 same addresses, and your site will suffer in the local search rankings for that. So if you spell out sweet, spell it out everywhere. If you hyphen something, hyphen it everywhere. If you capitalize something, capitalize it everywhere. You get the idea. If you have the word Inc. or LLC in your company name and all the disclosures and footers on your website, then it should be on your Google My Business page too. You want to make it as easy as possible for the search engine to always know that this is the exact same business. So keeping your NAP data, your name, address, and phone number exact everywhere is crucially important. Again, with your website, you want it to be on the footer of every single page of your website. So if you're using a tool like 20 over 10, for instance, we make it super easy. We have something called a global footer so that you don't have to keep adding it over and over and over again. You can just, in the website platform here, you can just edit the global footer, right? So I can just come in here and say Samantha Russell's planning firm. I could edit it, change it, and then anytime I add a new page, anytime I add a new landing page, a blog post, this footer will stay the same. So I don't have to worry about adding it. If your website doesn't have that, you want to make sure you go through and check every single page to make sure that your name, address, and phone number is on every page of your website and that it's exactly the same on every single page. This seems like something very simple. It's something a lot of businesses do not take care of, and then they can't figure out why they're not ranking high in this local pack. That's probably why. So the last one that I mentioned was to get Google reviews, right? We find that if you're doing a search for a local business, you will notice that typically the ones that are going to come up at the top always have reviews. And surprisingly, it doesn't necessarily match. So like if you only had 2 reviews and they were 5-star reviews, that's not necessarily better than someone who has 10 reviews that are only 3.5-star reviews, right? So it's not just about the quality of the review, but also the quantity. So getting more reviews is advantageous. Google wants people to use its own platform, and they want to provide good results. So the reviews are an indicator that your company is a good result, right? When they see a lot of people have reviewed it or the reviews are high. So asking clients to leave a review, if you could do that, making it easy for people to leave a review, however you want to handle it, is a crucial way to get ranking higher in this local pack. So that was a lot of information about SEO. I haven't gotten any questions yet, which always makes me nervous. Now would be a great time to ask them if you have one specifically about how to write a keyword, where it should go, how to unlock the keywords, anything like that before I move on to once somebody lands on your site, converting them using things like live chat. So do we have any questions at all? I know you're all going to get off of the presentation and think of one, and that's fine too. I'll leave my email, and you can always send it to me privately after the fact. But certainly, even if it's something like you want to send me your website and say, hey, where could we be doing better? Could you be my guinea pig for the 5-second test? I'd be happy to do that. So you can send me your website URL, and I can walk you through what small little quick fixes and changes you could make that will see a huge impact. Okay, so once we get more traffic to the website, we need to capture them. We need to convert them to a prospect, right? So visiting the website is not enough. So these have really taken over. If you don't have one already, just something to think about with the difference in choosing software provider. So a chatbot is a computer program, powered AI, that interacts with your website. It's completely automated. You don't have to be there to make that interaction happen. Whereas live chat is human generated, right? So you're physically there at your office and a little thing pings you anytime somebody interacts with the live chat, and then you can answer back. There's no automation. So 51% of consumers are saying a business needs to be available 24/7, and 42% say they prefer to live chat because they don't have to wait on hold for an answer or somebody to attend to them. And then 51% of customers prefer live chat for multitasking purposes, with another 21% preferring it so they can shop or make informed decisions while they work, which we all know is relevant, right? People try to get things done during the workday, and so being able to communicate with a business via a live chat app during the workday is very advantageous. A lot of companies have really neglected doing this because if you're a small business, it seems like you need a lot of manpower to make it happen. So I just wanted to introduce you to the concept because these tools have come a long way and have made it a lot easier for people to institute on their websites. So really quickly, this is Intercom. This is a tool we actually use at 20 over 10 on our website. They've found through all their data that they've combed through with the thousands of businesses that host live chat on their sites, that one reply makes somebody 50% more likely to convert. Another reply, so 2 replies, makes it 100% more likely. And if you chat back and forth with 6 messages, it goes up to 250%. So a huge increase in just those quick, easy interactions. These are some tools that I find clients of ours using all the time, that you might want to look at. And what I wanted to show is that it doesn't need to be fully automated, and it doesn't need to be a human there all the time, right? So the automated tools would do something like this. Hi, how can I help you with, what can I help you with today? And then they would give the visitor 2 options, and depending on what they say, it moves them. So you're not going to have a whole support team probably, but maybe they say something like, interested in talking to someone at your team, or I have a quick question, or I want to schedule a meeting. You can set up what the options are and then route them to the different answers. So on our own website, we do it where, are they a current customer? Are they a prospect? And then we go back and forth. All of these have options though, where if you don't want something super automated, you just want it to say, hi, how can I help you today? And then once they answer, you can say, I can better help you if you give me your name and your email and your phone number, or whatever information you want to collect. And so the bot maybe just does those 2 simple things. And then it says, okay, unfortunately, nobody's here live right now. We'll get back to you soon. So that's like a nice in-between option that all of these tools have, where it will ping you and let you know if you are available, but if you aren't, it still collects the prospect's information and will deliver that to you so that you can follow up when you are available, which is always really great. Just wanted to show you what it actually looks like on a website here. So if we go to greenmountain.com. So you can see on this website, this little thing pops up and it says, can I help you find the answer to a specific question, right? And then I can interact. You can make yours say, hi, how can I help you today? You can have it be branded with just your picture if you're a one-man or woman shop. You can have it be 3 different people's pictures if you have 3 different people in your company that are communicating with you. So you can really tailor this to your firm to make it the most useful for you. But again, what's really great about it is it provides that immediate interaction. Consumers are doing their research when it's convenient for them, when they're at work and they have 5 minutes, or when it's 11 o'clock at night and they just put their kids to bed and now they want to look into this because it's been on the back of their mind and they got to take care of it. So you don't want to miss that opportunity, because they could send you an email, and I'm sure this has happened to all of you, and you're like, oh, great, I have somebody new who wants to work with me. And they send it to you at 11 o'clock at night, and then you don't respond to them until the next day, and by then it's gone and it's past. A lot of our clients will have this live chat on their phone, and so if it is the middle of the day or it is 11 o'clock at night and somebody responds, they can say something as simple as, oh, hey, I'd love to talk with you. Here's a couple resources you could check out. Here's my calendar. Go ahead and book a time. And you can even have the live chat have that calendar as well, so it can be an integration. So this is a great tool I suggest every website, every business owner includes, just because it makes it so easy for you to get those leads and collect them around the clock without having to do a lot of work. So I know we're coming up short on time. I hope that this has been helpful to you. I've gotten a message saying that it was from someone, so thank you so much. Again, if you want to drop your name, your email, your phone number, your website URL into the Q&A box, or if you want to send a message, you can do that. If you just want to kind of keep looking at my information and what we present and how it might be helpful to you, if you click on, or if you go to Samantha C. Russell on LinkedIn, you can connect with me there. And I share tons of information all about digital marketing that is pertinent to website owners that you can just look at there. Or if you go to the 20 over 10 blog, we have a ton of information there as well. So things like how to unlock keywords that are important for your business, what you should know when you're redesigning a website. And then all of the webinars that I give are on demand there for you to watch as well. So hopefully I either gave gave you something that you can immediately go back today and change on your own site, or have sparked a thought of something you need to get done. But again, to recap, do the 5-second test, go look at your keywords, and then I'm going to send this replay to all of you, the recording of this webinar. Go through it and make these simple changes to that low-hanging fruit, as I've called it, because not many business owners are. And if you take the time to do it, you're going to see the results that they're not seeing. So thanks everybody so much. I'll stay on the line for a couple more minutes if I can answer any other questions. And I hope to chat with some of you in person soon. Oh, and just for your own information, so I'm based in State College, Pennsylvania, if we have any Nittany Lion fans out there. And so I am in the Eastern time zone. So just in case that is important for anyone to know, that is where we are located, in State College, PA. Somebody's just asking if I'm free for a call after this webinar. Sorry, Stephen, I am not. I'm doing another version of this webinar for another audience. But I see your phone number there, so after that one is done, I'd be happy to call you maybe on my way out of the office on the drive back. I'll try you and leave my information, and you can always get back to me if that doesn't work. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Appreciate it.